DJ Pro Nero Mix Transition Tutorial. I'm DJ Spiegel Spin, and we're going to talk about it. DJ Pro has the amazing feature of Nero Mix. This was groundbreaking when it was released, and it could separate vocals, instrumentals, and harmonics in real time as you play a song, whether it's a song on your device or it's a song using a streaming service. In the past, you would have to go and download the acapella version or download the instrumental version, but now you could do it with one slide of a slider or even one push of a button. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about some ways to do transitions using this feature and how to mix, and I'm also going to show you how to use it with auto mix. So let's get started right now. So if we go over here to, I got my mouse so you'll be able to see where I'm pointing. When you first start the app, you are going to be in this screen. This is classic mode. So there's a couple of ways to access Nero Mix if you're using this screen. And then also it's the same thing in other screens, like this button down here. This is a quick access to Nero Mix. So if you click it, you get this slider right here. So you can instantly do vocals only, or you can instantly do instrumentals with just one slide of a slider. And then if you wanted to, you could change it from percussive to tonal, but I don't really know why you would do that, and I just leave it on instrumental and acapella because it's simple. So whenever I'm doing a mix with two songs, and if I'm not like really familiar with the song that I'm mixing into, I will just slide this slider into instrumentals only, because the worst thing you could do when you're doing a transition is have two vocals playing at the same time, because your mind can only process one person talking at the same time. So you never want to have two vocals playing. So a good way to avoid this is when you're mixing in a track, just slide it over to instrumental only, and then you could listen in your headphones, or you could slowly put in the vocals, and then you will be able to see. And then also you could do it visually. So if we open up the waveforms over here, if you go to vocal, it's going to show you what the vocals look like in the waveform. So that's the vocal part. And then if you go to instrumental, it's going to show you what the instrumental part is. So this is a good way when you're preparing your tracks to get to know what part is what part, because sometimes it can get a little confusing with just using the waveforms. I've been doing it for a while, so I got pretty good at it. But it's a great way to be able to get familiar with what it looks like if it's vocals or what it looks like if it's instrumentals. So that is the simplest control for Nero Mix that we are given. And then you guys could also, if you're doing transitions where you want to play vocals over another beat, like a really cool way to do a mashup is you have one song's instrumental playing, you have one song playing, and then you could throw in the vocals of another song. So a way to do this is you just put it on vocals only, and now it's only going to be the vocals, so it's going to be the vocals of this new song playing on top of the beat of the old song. And this is really fun to do, especially if you use songs from the same artist. Like if you're mixing let's say, a Britney Spears song with another Britney Spears song, you could be playing one song at one Britney Spears song and playing the beat, and then you could do on the next verse, throw in another one with just the vocals. And this is a great transition, a great way to get from track to track, because now the vocals are playing of the new song, and then you could slowly mix it in with the other one. So if you're down here, let's say you want to do that, you could go really quickly, vocals only on the right deck, and then instrumentals only on the left deck. So now you could be playing a new song's vocals on top of the old song's beat, even if there were still vocals playing in the original song, because we just switched it to instrumental only. Before, when you were doing this mix, what you would have to do is you would have to, let me go to my EQs over here. So what you would have to do is you'd have to lower the lows and then lower the highs, and then usually the vocals were in the mids, so you could just raise the mids, but it wasn't perfect and you would hear other sound bleeding through. So now with NeuroMix, we are able to do a much smoother mix because we don't have to worry about any sounds. We don't have to try to figure it out with the bass and the high frequencies. We already know that we could just switch right over to vocals or switch right over to instrumentals. So now if you go over here, this is the screen that you'll be in, and then if you press this up here, this is the mixer and slider section. Now we have access to these sliders, but if we go one step farther to the EQ, now we have, it's going to be in the equalizer. So this is the traditional way of mixing before NeuroMix, and it was the bass, the lows, which is the bass, the mids, and the highs. So traditionally when you would do transitions and mixes, you would take one song, and then when you put the next song in, you would maybe lower the bass so that it wasn't playing two basses at the same time, and then you could switch out the basses, which is called the bass swap. So you would turn one knob, you'd start the song with no bass, and then at the right time you would take the two knobs and then you would switch the basses out. This is called the bass swap, and it's a really classic mixing technique. But now what we could do is we could do it with NeuroMix. So instead of mixing our songs together with the low frequencies, the mids, and the highs, if you go over here where it says EQ, you could do NeuroMix EQ. So now instead of the traditional EQ that DJ's been using forever, we have NeuroMix. So we have the drums, which is going to be like the kick drums, like the beat, especially if you're playing EDM songs, house music, that's going to be the boom, boom, oops, oops. And then the harmonics, that's like guitars, flutes, and like kind of like the music part of it. And then obviously the vocals are going to be the words. So when we're doing transitions, we can maybe start the transition with the vocals off, start the transition with the harmonics low, and then just put in the drums of the next song, and then slowly take out the harmonics of one song, add in more of the harmonics, and then at the right time switch the vocals. So it gives us more creativity and more ability to make mashups and kind of playing two songs at the same time, and it makes it really cool transitions, and it's really easy to do with this feature. And then also, if you go over here all the way to the left, you have access to NeuroMix. These are sliders, so you could either have it down or have it up. And then you could mute one section, so you could mute the harmonics, or you could play just the harmonics, and then you have it with the vocals here. So this gives you a little more control than just the slider, because now we have access to the harmonics. And then also up here, we could change. It gives us some new options. Some of this is new with the update. So we could do drum, bass, and melodic instead of vocals if you want, or you could just do 2 tracks, instrumentals and acapellas. Now we have access to basically the same thing down here. I don't know why you'd put it there if you could just do the same thing down there. You could do 3. This is the one I keep it on, drums, harmonics, and vocals, which makes transitions really fun and easy to do. Or you could do 4, and you get you get the bass section. So this is good, especially with EDM, or if you're mixing 2 songs with a lot of bass, you could just tone down the bass or even turn the bass off of one song so you're not getting that overpowering bass. That's one thing to try to avoid when you're doing transitions and mixing. And it's kind of hard because if you start practicing with just your iPad speakers or just your phone speakers or maybe a small like Bluetooth speaker that doesn't have like a subwoofer or a lot of bass, then you're not going to know. You're going to be doing these mixes and they're going to sound fine, but then when you go and DJ at a club or DJ somewhere with a big booming system, or even if you play your song back in a car that has basses, you're going to hear 2 basses going and it just sounds terrible. So now we could just easily get rid of the bass, or if you're just doing the regular, if you're just in the 3 band one, you could just lower the drums. And then now I just want to show you one last thing, which is if we go over here to auto mix, I think we have to go, you press the middle button, then you go to the middle, auto mix, and then you press this drop down button, And then we go over here, the transitions, and you could set it, right now it's on automatic, so it uses the artificial intelligence to decide which is the best, which works most of the time. Sometimes it's off, sometimes it's not. But you could set it to be neuro mix. And now when you do these mixes, when the robot or whatever does the mixes, you're going to see them moving these drums and the harmonics and vocals to do perfect neuro mix transitions. So definitely try to set your auto mix on neuro mix and see what it does, and you could also get some good ideas on transitions. So if you learned something in this video, give it a like. And if you like DJ videos and learning new stuff about DJing on the iPad and with DJ Pro, subscribe to this channel. And also you can ask me any question in the comments. Thank you.